welcome to Firebirds Weekly, Season 2, Episode 5. We are presented by Dude Wipes, and we are live from JC Tractor in Hoosick Falls, New York. We are also presented by Henry Nail Kicking. Henry Nail Kicking, Henry does a great job showing his kicking to the young people and getting them involved in the game of football. Tonight, remember, we have a new contest. Comment and share to be entered for a Nest sticker. We'll pick 3 winners at the end of the show that will get a sticker with our logo printed on it. Tonight, our guest is Gary Compton, the Director of Football Operations for AF1. Gary, a return guest for us. How are we doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing good, guys. I appreciate you guys having me. Long time no talk to.
Yeah, it feels like it's been a while. I mean, we the last time around was I think May 10th, and a lot has happened since May 10th. So we want to take the opportunity to kind of have you on and kind of go through what's been going on for the last 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, as everybody knows, there's a lot that's been happening. As we got into the start of free agency, and I know we'll discuss all of that. To expansion now, and getting ready to start moving in, schedules and all of that, and get, tryout camps. We got teams going with everything. So yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, and a lot of great information that we'll talk about tonight.
And the last time you were here was May 10. In that time, the AF1 championship was played and won by our Albany Firebirds. What were your thoughts on the initial Arena Crown 2025?
You know what? I thought it was a great atmosphere. And, we talked about that when we were there, the history and all of that there in that arena and coming back. I thought the fans were great. Thought the setup, I thought Albany did an outstanding job with that. And I mean, we had a great game. It came down to the wire. There was a few turning points in that game and all of that. That could have went one way or the other, but like you said, Albany came on top, and was a winner of the Arena Crown, and we'll see if they can go back to back this year.
Well, we're definitely hoping for that to happen. Tell me, a little bit about how Albany was as hosts for the championship, not just the game, but the whole weekend, doing the league awards and media day. And it really, was a cool spectacle, culminating, obviously, like you just said, in a great, Arena Crown. Talk about, working with, Albany as the host team for this.
Yeah, what we try to do when this is going on, and it's a big facet of all of it, because you have four teams, potential places that you could go to. So
right.
Christy and I and Jerry, we're putting together 4 different schedules and 4 different timelines of each city. And that's a lot of work to go in, then as the game ends, okay, we throw this one away, let's throw that in the trash, all right, let's put this one over here and all of that. So, once we found out it was going to be in Albany, we had, a meeting that evening with their ownership group and, all of their front office people. And, okay, you're going to have it here. What are we going to have for the dates? Okay, these people are, and you think about it, there's a lot to line up. Not having that week in between the championship game and, or the league championship game, and in between the playoffs there, and not having that extra week. Number one, what does that do? Is travel. Travel gets cut short. Teams are already having to do their travel, ahead of time and everything else. So there's a lot to put together. But I thought, there at Rivers Casino was a great spot. Not just because of the casino itself. I was in the restaurants there, eating and everything. But the setup that we had there for the press conference, and as you walked inside and having everything out there, welcoming people to the Arena Crown and all of that, it just really had that big time feel to it. And I thought they did an outstanding job.
Some of the that was weird. Kind of a weird sound happening there, but that's okay. Looking at the year in general, what's one thing that surprised you about the year, and then something that you were like, we've got a good plan for this, and it went, exactly as you thought it was going to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we first started out, as anything else, you're always excited for the inaugural year and the teams that you have, and everybody knows it, and it's nothing that we kept secret. There was some downfalls. Okay, I'm not going to mention any organizations and all that, but we know,
Of course.
and we did what was needed, to continue on with those organizations. And that's what we do at the league level there is, we make sure our teams are continuing to play and go through. And I thought we did a great job with that, to finish out the year with the number of teams that you start with. I think that's very important.
Yeah, having going, 8-8. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's not easy. I remember, as I sit here in my office and I've got 25, 30 years of memorabilia all over here. I remember times as I look around to where you would go play somewhere, you would get your game check, and you would have to run to the bank and cash it real fast before it bounced. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
you never like to have those days and everything. And, we're obviously way beyond those days and all of that. But I thought, we finished it up well. Got to, able to learn from some things. Like you said, we did a lot more good things than we did bad things. But I think 2026 is going to be a great year for us.
Well, I wanted to, to talk about, what we've been seeing here, as the calendar went from, the end of the season, now into November. We have, a handful of teams that have now come into AF1, including Beaumont, Kentucky Barrels, the Michigan Arsenal, and the Oceanside Bombers, the last of which just got announced yesterday, day before, within the last couple of days. And then obviously other teams have decided to go elsewhere, both Kansas teams. We're not sure about Corpus Christi right now. Billings the same way. You hear different things. You see things on social media. But talk about just that kind of going back and forth and being able to get these new teams, to decide, yes, we want to bring our business to this, new league that's now it's going to be in its second year.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I tell you what, first things off, you got to love social media, okay? Because everybody thinks when something's on social media, oh, you know what, that's true, and
Yeah,
let's take it,
yeah.
and I get it, and I get it too. I mean, it's a great platforms to have. I'm not anything with that, but I think people have to do their due diligence before they try to grab something and run with it, is what I'm going to say. Okay.
Oh,
Now,
of course, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, getting to your deal, when we first rolled out, we talked about expansion. Obviously, everybody knows, Southwest Kansas and Salina left. They went to another league. They wanted something more beneficial to them. Hey, shook their hand, hats off. You guys go do what you're going to do. You want to miss out on the party, that's fine, but everybody does what they need to do. We roll Beaumont in, who was a champion in the NAL last year, wanted to come over. They wanted to up their game a little bit. Went down there, had a press conference. It was phenomenal reception by the city, the mayor and everybody. The whole entire community was excited. So we get Beaumont on board. Then we go out to Northern Kentucky, okay, there, and we get them on board in the same thing. Mayor, everybody there, that opportunity in Northern Kentucky where they're going to play in the community and everything is outstanding. So now all of a sudden, we're up to bat. We're 2 for 2 with 2 home runs right now, right? Go down to Michigan
with tons of promotion and everything.
Correct, absolutely. So we get the third franchise, we get the Michigan franchise. George and those guys out there did an outstanding job. The Saginaw, is in a small community, but what I like about it, it's housed between 2 universities that are 15 minutes apart, and it sits dead center in the middle of both of them. So that's a recruiting hotbed that you can grab players from. Along with the hockey team that they had there was, outstanding. People wanted to come up. The mayor, again, all the, the commitment by everybody in the community. And then we just announced Oceanside. Oceanside there, that's going to play in San Diego. with that ownership group. And those guys, wanted to come on board to the AF1. They announced Willie Buchanan as an ambassador. We all know about Willie, being a NFL Hall of Famer and things like that. So there's a lot of good things going on and happening right now with expansion. Now, some people will say, "Oh, you got 4 expansion teams. You've got 9 teams right now. That's fine. That's okay. If I have 8 one year and I have 9 or 10 the next year, guess what? I'm growing at a decent rate. I want to continue to grow. That's what it's all about. I think people undervalue how hard it is in a league with teams and all of that, and the multiple personalities and the multiple people that you have to operate with and make sure things go smoothly. And I think Jerry has done an outstanding job in the management group of, vetting those teams and getting those teams in, and they're on board with AF1. There's a lot of good things happening, and everybody will say, "Oh, well, you just say that because you work for the AF1." That no, I don't. This is my life. This is what I do, and I'm passionate and serious about it. And when I tell someone, "Hey, this is legit what we're doing," it's definitely legit.
So what exactly? I mean, you don't have to get into the details, but what's one thing do you think that fans probably would be surprised to know in terms of what is required to join the AF1?
Absolutely. A lot of people think, "Hey, I can just fill out an application, right? Write a deposit, and I'm an owner." It's not that easy. We go out and as all these people are wanting to come into our league, and we vet them out. Number one, we look at a lot of how involved are you in the community. Okay, I think that's very, very important. Can you be community based? Can you get out in the community? Can you grow? There's 3 pillars that we use, in the AF1. There is character, commitment, and community. Okay, you got to have a high character. As the ownership group and all that, you got to be, very stand up with, with what you do in your business that you run. You look at the commitment. How committed are you to it? With that, you're committed for the long term, then obviously being in the community. So it's a long process that, there are people that vetted in April that, we didn't even get a chance to until July and August to even look at. So the management group, I think, does an outstanding job with that and getting the right people in here and understanding, what we're all about as we grow.
What is going on with my machine today? All right, well.
We've got a handful of.
That's what we were dealing with that to begin with too. So we're like a good football team, we're grinding through the process. We're getting it done today. We think it's and obviously now you're getting these teams now, and now free agency has happened. The first period where teams can re-sign and things like that. Talk about how some of that has been going from your end as director of football operations. Seeing it from the player side, how do you think that's been going so far, in the first few months here, a couple of months?
Yeah, well, I mean, and as you guys know, you've seen a lot of player movement, right? We've seen players moving to different teams.
In different leagues.
In different leagues, yeah, from different leagues and all of that. You see, you're seeing some high quality guys coming in. And, as everything else, this, as we say it, you want to use it as a trampoline to upscale yourself somewhere else. We want to see guys go to the UFL, the CFL, the NFL. That's what it's all about. Okay. It's not about, oh, well, we're better than everybody else, this and the other. Everybody has their own niche. Okay. Everybody has their own game. And I always love it when people talk, whether it's the IFL, the NAL, the AF1 or whatever, they try to compare it. And I think it's funny because, as we know, it's all different. Okay. As we say in our game is totally different. Why? Because we have the rebound nets. No other game has the rebound nets. We play, as Jerry says it, love it. We play arena football. Everybody else plays indoor football. So it is different. But getting back to your deal about the players, we've had a lot of movement with some players, moving back and forth, moving to different teams. We've had some, some great guys coming in and signing. We just had a trade today that will go through transactions tomorrow, which is the first trade of the year. Yep. Yeah, we had a coaching change in Minnesota. Okay, so we got a new coach in. Darren Clark is the coach there. So
We didn't even mention the Minnesota.
Oh yeah,
We didn't even
yeah,
mention Minnesota.
yeah.
How do we forget? How did we forget
You
the
know what?
monsters?
And I didn't even think about that till now. So let me give them their kudos because I was up there. That was outstanding. The greeting and the reception that you got from that place. We were in a hotel in a ballroom, and they probably had 250 people there, and all the merchandise and everything outside selling and everything. I thought they did a great job. And again, okay, this is another team that came from a league that won a championship. Okay, so you really think about it, you got three teams that have won championships playing in one league right now. Okay, which I think is good. But yeah, we got a lot of good things going there. A lot of players signing as you see now. The signings will drop off a little bit because they've kind of got a good base, but then they'll start having tryout camps. And as we get to the new year, and we'll talk about this in a little bit about some combines and some things that we partner with and we're going to do that will allow them to shape their roster up and get everybody ready to go for training camp.
When you see a trade, how does the league get involved? Is there evaluation of it? Is it a fair trade? Like how do you handle that?
Yeah. So what they do is the team that's going to trade or whatever, they'll call me and they'll tell me what's going to happen. Okay. And then there's obviously documentation, that we fill out and everything else. And so that trade, so we'll say, I'm going to use, for instance, we'll use Nashville and Albany because they played last year.
100%. Gotcha.
Yeah. And then everybody be like, oh, well, what happened? Nashville and Albany make a trade, and then somebody will post this on social media and run with it. And that'll be the wild thing tonight, right? So let's say Nashville's going to trade somebody to Albany. So they're going to call, they're going to tell me, they're going to fill out a form with what the trade is. They're going to send it over to Albany. Okay, Albany is going to review the form, make sure everything's correct. Okay, what am I trading for? Okay, is it a box of shoulder pads? Is it a helmet? Is it a gift card? Is it another player? Is it, whatever it may be? And they'll fill all that out, and then they'll send it back over to the team that did the trade. They will check to make sure it's correct. Then that form will come to me. I will evaluate it. I will look at it, and then I will sign off on it and send it back to both teams and tell them that the trade has been approved. That's kind of how things work.
So like and that will be in the huh? Oh, that's why. Yeah. In the MLB, it's like they have like a thing where it's like this much. This is what each trade is worth. And in the AF1, it's Gary Compton.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And the thing of it is too, you don't see a lot of trades. With that, what you will see that's different is, we have a claimant order. Okay, you have a claiming order of when a player is released. There's a claiming order like anything else. The NFL has them and all that a player goes through. And if the person at the top of the order, picks that person, then they drop to the bottom. But you may have a team that's at the bottom that really wants that player, and what they'll do is they'll get the claiming order, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to trade this player to you, but I'm going to take your claimant order and you're number one. Now I'm going to sit at number one and I'm going to wait to see if someone comes through, so different things like that. Coaches have different methods, that they use and all that, but it's pretty cool to actually see and watch.
It's almost like the waiver claim.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a waiver claim, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Taking a step back, only because a question had come in. Is there any talks for another team coming on, or are you going to roll with what you have for right now as of today?
You know what? If I was a betting man, which I don't bet, I don't gamble. Okay. I would always use the term "never say never." Okay. There are a few things in the fire right now that are trying to get final. Okay. I will say that. However, if things like that don't happen and we go with what we have, then, obviously as anything else, if you can't get teams that you want in and all of that for whatever reasons, you try to move them, you try to get them in the next year, right? I mean, that's what everybody wants to do. So you kind of have that.
Right. Because that's the thing, like you said a few minutes ago, as long as it's a net positive every year, that's the way you want to grow. You don't want to go from, 8 teams to 15 and then be like, I don't think we can control this.
Absolutely. And I think, and again, and that's what I was talking about. I think that's where a lot of people fail, right? Everybody wants to, oh, I want to see 6 new teams, every year. Well, people don't understand that that's very hard to do, number one, and it's very hard to control with that because as anybody knows, as your league gets bigger, your office staff gets bigger, right? Because you've got more teams to manage and you have more people to manage. And if you're managing more people, guess what? That's more money. And where that money comes, and all that. So it's a big umbrella with everything. And so the management group has done a great job with the plan that they want to do each and every year. And I think that plan is showing here, throughout this year so far.
So now that we're into November, what's the next major landmark for the AF1 in terms of dates? I know the combine is coming up, but what's kind of the next thing that you're looking forward to on the calendar?
Will be the schedule, right? I mean, that's the big thing that everybody wants. The schedule will be out soon. I think that's the big thing that people want to see. They want to see the schedule. I think, a lot of people have kind of heard and kind of seen, when we're going to start, and all of that, that second week in April, being that kickoff weekend and, playing through, as you guys have heard, we're going to play the 12 games, and then culminate the, championship of the 1st of August. But the schedule will come out. And obviously, that will be neat because that's what everybody likes to talk about. Once we get through the schedule and all that, will be the combine. We partner with the National Scouting Combine run by Jimmy Kibble and his group.
Yes.
The CEO of Beyond Sports, LLC. And we partnered with them, and he does a phenomenal job at this. And what it is it's a showcase, and it's down in Fort Myers for 4 days. Okay, and these are all draft eligible players that did not get an invite to the NFL Combine, did not get an invite to maybe an All-Star game or whatever, but still showcase their talents. There'll be NFL scouts there, CFL scouts there, UFL scouts there. All of our coaches will be there, and we go down there for a 3-day deal and let our coaches can get hands-on with them, can evaluate them. And then also what's good about that is they have a free agent combine that wraps into that. And those are players that are eligible right now to come into our league and everything else. So, it's a huge database that you have to draw from, and it gives our coaches an opportunity, if they're watching this player during practice or whatever, they may want to interview this player. They may want to sit down and talk to him, get a little more information. But what's good about the whole thing is you have this, these players that are draft eligible and all that, you're not going to see them until May or June. Okay, because they're going to wait on the NFL to see what happens, and it doesn't, and everything else. But then all of a sudden, your board of players is phenomenal by the database that you have, right? So if you have a player personnel director, you have whoever, they are putting together this board. So if I have a guy that goes down on a Saturday night that plays left tackle, I'm looking at my board and I'm seeing who I got up there, and I've already made that phone call and I'm ready to go. So it's a great resource to have. And everything, and we continue to look, together with that partnership.
Yeah, we've seen the scouting combine and what that means, and those partnerships, and I want to talk about a couple other real quick ones because I know that's been a strength is working with these partners. We had Evergreen now. And Vice TV. Any word on that in terms of if we're having the same thing or anything in terms of how people can watch the games if they don't come to the actual arenas?
Yeah, absolutely. And Vice and Evergreen were a great partner of ours last year. And Vice being, their first year of doing live sports and all of that, and they've kind of, broadened the horizon a little bit. We're looking back with Vice again for this year. And everything else, we're in negotiations right now with a streaming partner that should be inked if it has not been already since we've been talking. That should be inked here pretty quickly and everything else. And that'd be news that'll be able to come. I think this is a great opportunity for us to elevate ourselves to the next step in broadcasting and showcasing our games and all of that. So I'll kind of leave it at that right now. But yeah, that's definitely something we got going, and we're looking forward to that this year.
I got a question that came in here quick. little bit up against the clock here, but the question was: any discussions for the league that make some informative videos explaining rules that can be used at games, websites, etc. All too often, fans are not familiar with the rules, and nothing is more frustrating than watching a team get penalized and not understanding why.
Yeah, and that's a great question. You got to understand. I guess what they do, what we do a lot on the broadcast and all that, is they break down the major part of the rules, right? It's 15-minute quarters. You have 8 guys on the side. One guy can be in motion. You have the deuce, and the deuce is this, and everything else. But as far as all the rules and everything else, we've been looking at putting something on our website, and we're working on this now, kind of a guideline, a little bit of everything, because it is a different game, and the average person that just turns the TV on has never seen it. They don't know what's going on, right? It's kind of like watching hockey for the first time, and
right.
the puck goes across the blue line, and they blow the whistle, and you're trying to figure out what's going on,
Yep, and then the other question that we had, you don't have to give a name, but will the league have a league-wide uniform supplier again this year? I understand it's going to be different. You don't have to give a name, but
no, absolutely, yes, they will. We have inked that deal as well. Okay, we're just finishing up on. There was a tweak in it that we got, and again, this is going to be a unique opportunity for us because it's going to broaden our uniform, and it's going to broaden what all is given to us by this certain company and everything else. And that'll be news that'll be coming out here pretty quickly as well about our uniform provider for 2026.
Excellent.
All right, so coming to the end here, Gary, we of course thank you for all your time and your help and everything you've done for us here at the Nest over the last year and a half. Do you want to do the 3 winners for your stickers?
Yes, I do.
All right.
I do have to admit we've had a slew of technical related.
Oh, it's been a treat.
So I'm not gonna chance fate. So I did select 3 winners. I was going to share it on the screen, but with the challenge that we have, I'm not willing to take that chance. So
okay.
Mark Scanlon's a winner. Preston on YouTube is a winner, and Brian Shoemaker is a winner. All 3 of you guys send us we'll send you a direct message. We'll get your address, and we'll get you one of those stickers. One of these bad boys. So, Gary, we really, really thank you for your time, and we are looking very much forward to seeing you again. We may make the trip out to San Diego this year.
Yes, that's been discussed. Yes. We want to go to San Diego because that's warm, and it's not warm here in New York.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you. I'm in Wisconsin right now, but I just want to say thank you guys for what you do and everything that you do for us and all of that. We really appreciate it and all that. And anytime you guys need anything, please let me know.
Thank you. And I also want to take the opportunity to thank you for giving us the opportunity to do the AF1 championship pregame.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal.
We really enjoyed that, and we thought it was I mean, we had more than, I think it was over 600 viewers at one point. Like, people were really into it, and they really liked what we did, and we want to do that again. So
absolutely,
we appreciate that opportunity as well.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
All right. Gary Compton, Director of Football Operations for AF1. We'll let him freeze his butt off in Wisconsin. We'll freeze our butt up here in New York State. And we will see you guys next week. Next week, we are scheduled to have Prince Umali. I'll never be able to pronounce it. We're going to have to figure out that from Prince. We did.
So our apologies, but we're very much.
One of our former Firebirds is going to make an appearance next week. And more coming in the next couple of weeks. Mike Plaisance, the Firebirds athletic trainer, is going to be coming on. Possibly Gabe Young at some point here in the next few weeks as well. But we have lots of stuff coming as we get to the end of 2025 and get ready for 2026. So for Chris, I'm Adam. Gary, thank you, and we'll see you next week.